Alright guys, back again with another video finally. It's been a long time. This is going to be a short one, this time for real. I don't have a lot of time at the moment to make the lengthy talks I used to, so I'm going to try to upload just a quick short video with some brief insights when I do find the time to record something. So the thing I wanted to talk about today is actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it's something that came to mind, something I noticed because I've started working out at a gym with other people again. So for those of you who've been following my channel, you do know that for the last couple of years, I was training at home. I had a decent enough home setup. Obviously, this to some extent kind of connects you more to your own sort of training practices and very much disconnects you from the way other people train. Now, I obviously, interact with other people who train. I know people personally, I know people online, and I also watch fitness content myself here and there. So I'm not completely oblivious to the way other people train. Obviously, I'm also coaching people, so I've got some input that way. But in terms of actually seeing people train, people not just talking to me, but actually just doing stuff and me being able to observe that, I had a very limited amount of input. So now that I'm training in a more public context again, it's not exactly a public gym, but it's a gym where other people train as well, and where you don't just have hardcore gym goers, but kind of a mix. Now that I'm in this kind of situation, I have noticed two things that I'm going to point out here. The first one is that at the gym where I train, I am more or less the most jacked person. There are people there who are bigger than me, but also, one or two heads taller. So significant sort of natural size difference. But relative to my frame, my sort of natural predisposition, the way nature has built me, if you will, I am easily the most yoked fucking person there. Like in terms of actual jackedness, actually being built, definitely. The second thing I've noticed, and this is going to surprise you based on what I just said, because you might be wondering, is this just guy just trying to flex on us here? Like, why am I pointing this out? The second thing I've noticed is that out of all of the people training at that gym, I am also amongst those who train the least. Now, I go to the gym every day, 5 days a week, okay? I don't go there on the weekends because it's pretty far away, so I just go the full sort of workday week. I don't skip any days, I don't take any rest days, and then I take 2 rest days on the weekend. So it's not necessarily that I'm training few days, but when I'm at the gym, I am pretty much in and out very quickly. And this is kind of a strange combination, right? Because if you think about it, you would expect the guy who's really jacked to be one of the people training the most. But that is not the case at all. In fact, there are people there who probably spend like twice as much time at the gym as I would in one sitting. Now, I will say I kind of split up my workouts, so that's kind of part of it. I go to the gym, I do some of my sets, and then I come back later and do the rest. But even if I was going to do everything in one sitting, there are people there who would still be there like twice as long. Some of that comes down to the fact that I don't take very long breaks for my training. Personally, I don't need a ton of recovery after every set. The other thing, though, is the fact that I think most people train way too much. And what I mean by that is that the training they are doing is not particularly hard. And I've noticed this with lots of different types of training and lots of different people training at this gym. The training they do, the sets they do, are not very hard, but they do copious amounts of them. So there will be a guy who's doing like, I don't know, 6 sets of bench press, or 7 or 8. But when I see him actually do the bench press, he's moving that weight like it's a cheaply animated video game. You know, the weight is just going up and down. And I can see, just looking at him, that he is not really exerting any sort of significant effort. The weight he is lifting, I can tell, is not heavy for him. So you'll have a guy on the bench doing the bench press, and just kind of moving the bar up and down. And he does that for a fairly arbitrary amount of repetitions. And then he stops. And he rests. And again, does something on his phone, chills out, checks his messages, whatever. And then he gets back to it. And he does the same thing again. Let's say he's doing 8 reps. Maybe it's 10 reps. Okay. He does those reps. And then he stops. And then he sits back up and goes on his phone. Now, to me, I'm obviously in part focused on my training. But out of the corner of my eye, sort of in the periphery of my general perception, I take notice of this. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy actually doing? Is he just there to move the weight? No, of course not, right? He wants to maybe grow his chest, right? Grow his triceps, grow his shoulders, whatever he's bench pressing for. That would be a different conversation entirely. Get stronger, what have you. But the problem is you're not really going to get stronger if you're using the kind of weight that you can move the way I just described, and if you're doing like a fixed number of reps and then just stopping. So the thing I want to get at here, because this video is already 9 minutes again, you guys know my propensity for rambling on. The thing I want to get at is that the quickest way to actually make gains is to train to failure, or very close to failure. Maybe you don't need to train to absolute failure on like heavy squats, because you might struggle to re-rack the weight. So if you don't have anyone spotting you, maybe train to like 1 or 2 reps close to failure, right? 1 or 2 reps in reserve. But train to failure on any light exercise. Train to failure or very close to failure on any sort of medium weight exercise, which is what I would describe a bench press as, right? You're moving heavy weight, but it's not like a super heavy exercise compared to a deadlift or a squat, and you're lying down. So I would say it's a fairly safe, stable exercise as well, especially if you're using a Smith machine or something like that. Go to failure on easy exercises. Go to failure or close to failure on medium weight kind of exercises, and then still fairly close to failure if you don't, want to do anything risky. Still go very close to failure on heavy exercises. I'm at the gym in total maybe a little bit over an hour, okay? And I just train really hard. There's people who are more than 2 hours at the gym. And you can just tell just by looking at them, just looking at the progress they make, etc., that they are clearly not making the kind of gains they should be if they're spending that much time at the gym. I do like 3 sets, maybe 4 sets on an exercise that I'm kind of focusing on any given day. And then on other exercises that I'm sort of packing in with that, I'm doing like 2 sets. Yeah, 2-3 sets is sort of a normal range for me on an exercise. And then maybe I'll go for like a 4th on the core exercise. That's all you need. You don't need to be doing 7 or 8 sets of fucking bench press. To be honest, if you are seriously going hard on bench press on the first set and you're training in a, let's say, 10 rep sort of range, right? Let's say 8 to 10 reps, something like that is your first set. You're going to be doing, I don't know, 6, 7 reps maybe on the second set. Third set is going to be even less. Fourth set, you're going to squeeze out some tough reps, really get things going, get some juicy gains in. How many reps are you going to be doing on the fucking 5th set, 6th set at that same weight? Basically none. You can do drop sets, sure. But if you are doing 7 sets of fucking bench press at a given weight and you're doing more or less the same reps, then you might as well be doing cardio. So to kind of close this off, and by the by, if you're interested in what a sensible training program for building muscle or building strength or working on your strength endurance might look like, go ahead, check out it's going to be down below, the Coffee page. I've got a workout for each of these uploaded on the Coffee page. Since making these is not a lot of work for me, to be honest, because it's essentially the workouts I use, you can grab them for like a couple bucks. If you're interested in more comprehensive coaching, obviously hit me up, right? If you want a personalized training program, all that, just shoot me a message over on Coffee or on Instagram, as always. And you can also go ahead and check out the Primal Physique course. But if you're just interested in a basic workout and even just understanding what a sensible workout program looks like if you're actually training to failure, again, go over there, $2.50, $3, something like that. Grab a program, download it, look at it, and then you can build your own program off of a template like that. To close this off, train hard, but don't train for fucking ages. Don't do a gazillion sets. Don't do a gazillion reps. Don't do arbitrary amounts of reps. Don't do 5 sets of 5. If you're doing 5 sets of 5 of an exercise, what was the point of the first 1 or 2 sets? Getting tired? Was it like warm up for the last 3? I mean, if you're going to warm up, just warm up. But what are you doing 5 sets of 5 for if you're still able to do 5 reps on the last set? You shouldn't be able to. If 5 reps on the first and second set is hard, is close to failure or actual failure, you should be doing like 2 reps on the last set, max, maybe 1. Maybe it's a drop set. So yeah, long story short, train hard. Don't do a gazillion sets unless you're working on strength endurance. And in that case, drop sets, get those reps in. Don't be doing arbitrary amounts of reps because your program says so. You train to failure. You try to progress. You take down notes on this is how many reps I did, or you roughly remember it. You try to improve next week. That's it. End of the video. Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead, leave a like down below. As always, if you have any thoughts or any recommendations for future videos, or you just want to push the algorithm a little bit by shitting on me in the comments, go ahead, do that down below. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos of mine in the future. Check out the Primal Physique course. Check out the workouts on Coffee. Hit me up on Coffee or on Instagram, as always, if you want some coaching, so a more personalized, individualized approach to training program, diet, that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully I'll find time to make another one of these short videos. Until then, adios.